Critic, and I'm quite recovered from the last episode of Game of Thrones. This one is called The First of His Name. It is the fifth one of the fourth season. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what the last episode was about. I couldn't be bothered to remember. But this one flowed together very nicely. Although, and right up to the end, as soon as the credits rolled, like that, I was like, "What? It's over already?" This seemed like a very fast episode because we jump from character to character, as we always do. But this time, we learned only snippets. We're progressing by snippets with everyone. Now, for the last few ones, I've tried to be spoiler free. This one, forget about it. I'm jumping right in. So if you haven't seen the episode, what are you doing? Go watch it. Then come back and we can all have this wonderful discussion. So, this episode really I suppose for people like me, who are concerned about Sansa and Littlefinger, considering how obsessed he was with Sansa's mother, they finally do reach the Vale. They reach the Eyrie, and it seems that Cat's sister is not as crazy as we thought she was. We learn quite a bit about it. For example, she's the one who poisoned the hand of the king. She's the one who is arranging for, well, sort of. She's co-arranging for the death of Tyrion via the death of Joffrey. The plots are getting stacked in layers. They're not hard to follow, but they're very numerous, and it would be easy to lose track of them. So while Lady Tyrell wanted Joffrey dead for Marjorie's sake, it seemed that Cat's sister used this opportunity to get rid of Tyrion at the exact same time, and what's more, blamed him for the poisoning. So that's what happened. She also seems to be very protective of Sansa, considering how jealous. And she did all this, in case you're wondering, for Littlefinger. She dearly loves Littlefinger. Simply because he loved her sister, and she is fiercely jealous. I mean, she straight up confronts Sansa. She's like, "Did you do anything?" Like she used her madness. I realize is not actual crazy. It's just she's using this as a tool in order to manipulate everybody. In this Game of Thrones, she might be the ultimate. She might be the ultimate off the. If you were to think of it as chess, she is the rook. She's the rook on the far left-hand side. No one thinks about it, but in the end, it usually turns out to be a very powerful player. And at the moment, it seems like she holds everything. She has Sansa. She has Littlefinger. She orchestrated half of the murders that were extremely influential in King's Landing. So you have to wonder who is really in charge. That's the big reveal of this episode. Let's see, what else do we learn? The Lannisters are broke. Yes, that's right. The famously rich Lannisters are all broke. They made their money mining gold, and it seems that for the last 3 years they haven't had any gold to mine. They lent all their money to Robert, who proceeded to hoard away, as you all know, and then borrowed from the Iron Bank. So everyone owes the Iron Bank money, and I'm really curious to see who this Iron Bank is. I'm desperate to know who's running this Iron Bank. Like, there's this thing that it's not an actual thing. It's more of a temple. One person disappears, they just replace it. So maybe they just, I don't know. Book readers, comment, tell us. What else? Yeah, little snippets here and there progressing the story. We get a little bit of Daenerys, who, as always, is taking the back burner in this series. She's basically decided, okay, we're not going to go to Westeros. I'm going to concentrating on learning how to rule here. This is going to be. She basically says, and rightly so, if I can't keep these slaves free, then what right do I basically have to rule in Westeros? What right do I have to claim any kingdom if I can't keep the people I'm trying to liberate free? Which is a very valid point. So I think that this season we're definitely going to see her blossom into. She's going to struggle. She's definitely going to struggle. But we're going to see her blossom from. She started off as a woman in power because of her husband, then she became a woman in power in her own right, and now we're going to see her blossom into an actual monarch, one who, in the end, we can only assume, will be the best ruler for Westeros, and will finally come back and save the kingdom. Bran's storyline has actually started to become interesting. In the previous seasons, it was like, okay, they're traveling, great. Now with the previous episode with the White Walkers, and with this episode put together, we're finally moving towards a point to this entire shambles. And even though in the last review I said, you know what, this is where Jon and Bran's story intersect. They do intersect. Or I shouldn't say they intersect. They narrowly miss each other. Like if this is Jon and this is Bran, they go like this. Whoop. Like they just almost touch each other. The linking point is that they free Jon's dire wolf, and that's basically Bran's gift to Jon after he goes and he completely destroys all the mutineers. Ugh, thank goodness I did not want them to drag that plot out. It was bad. It was bad enough in the last episode. This episode, less rapey, but still pretty. Why do I get the feeling that? I don't think it's true, but I think the theme for this season might be. I'm not gonna say because it drives people away. But let's face it, the last 4 episodes, as soon as that Prince of Dorne, Martell, as soon as he mentioned what happened to his sister, it just got worse and worse and worse until we reached this critical point. And now maybe we'll go up, maybe we'll go down. I don't know. Cersei, we finally see Cersei start to come up out of her funk. I guess what happened between her and Jaime we're never going to discuss, but she's. I guess what they're trying to do is I guess what the show is trying to do is trying to illustrate her in a better light. Like, listen, as completely insane as Cersei can be, she is at the end of the day a mother, and she cares for her children. And as bad as Joffrey was, and she even admits, I don't know if she's playing Marjorie the fool or what, but she basically says to Marjorie, listen, Joffrey was terrible. He, as much as I love my children, he was the worst of the worst, and you would have been bad with him. Which almost makes me feel like, I know it's not true, but I almost feel like the Lannisters, if they weren't expecting this to happen, they were preparing for it to happen. It seems there's too much of a give and take here. The characters are moving away from what we've basically been grounded on them for the last few seasons. That, I mean, she's still going after Tyrion, and even though I do think that Cersei is starting to realize that Tyrion is not the one who poisoned her child, but she needs someone to grin for it, and well, Tyrion just so happens to be convenient. The fact that her father is backing her on that is, well, we know how he feels about Tyrion from the previous season, so there's no real surprise there, whether because he's courting House Martell. Basically, the reason they're courting all the different houses is because they're broke, they need these guys as allies to basically pay into the treasury so that the Iron Bank doesn't destroy the Lannister name. That's what we learn. We see Lady Brienne and her squire. They start to bond. It's a cute little moment. It breaks up some of the weirder stuff that's going on. Arya tries to kill the Hound by sticking him with needle, and of course it doesn't go through his armor, Valyrian steel or not. And he basically tells her, look, you can hop around all you want. You need to really learn how to fight properly. And I think that that's going to be the key that takes us into, well, she's going to contact the Red Assassin, and that's how she's going to learn to be. I think what we're going to end up seeing is that we're going to have to watch her go through training again, and as much as that could slow down her part in the series, I'm fine with it. She's at best a side character, so whatever she does is whatever. Really, it's fine. But all in all, this was a well balanced episode. We basically got everybody. I do feel that Daenerys was robbed for time. I really do wish that we would develop Daenerys's subplot a little bit better, because if this is supposed to be a fantasy series, right? You've got dragons on the bottom, which we haven't seen since the first episode of this season, and then we've got White Walkers on the top, which make an occasional what's the word, cameo. They make the occasional cameo. You got the Red Woman, who now and then works magic. But other than that, there's not much fantasy to this fantasy series. You don't see people using potions. You don't see people doing spells or anything. It just is. It's just politics and great, but nothing of Theon. Because we're sick of him after that. I'm a little curious as to what happened to him, but honestly, not that much. Let's see. Jon Snow, he slays everybody. Great. He gets his direwolf back. They burn down Craster's Keep. So everybody there is revenged. The women are basically like, listen, we've been hurt by men so many times. We're not going with you. We're gonna try and do our own thing, which is good. So maybe that'll get us on the storyline. It only helps to remind us what happened to Sam's girlfriend. What is it? I can't remember her name. What happened to Craster's daughter? The one that went away with Sam. What happened to her? Is she still? I still feel like there's so many women in danger in these episodes and they've just thrown. There's certain lines that you don't cross, and as this series goes on, they've been crossing many lines. Like the first season, they were like, okay, we're going to show you violent, gory death. The second season and third season, it's like, okay, we're going to show you betrayals and all these and poisonings, and like people burning to death and all that other stuff. And then this one, it crossed that you don't show sexual assault in many TV shows, or if you do, you keep it brief or off to the side. No, this one like just blatantly puts it in your face. So they've crossed that line. Sorry, the camera cut out. But yes, they've been crossing several lines from swearing sex and from swearing sex and death to torture to sexual assault. So it'll be interesting, not the correct word, but watchable to see where they take the series next based on that. I haven't read the books, so I don't know if any of that is in there because they've been putting in a lot of twists. Let's see, is there anything else to comment about? Stannis didn't appear, but let's face it, his storyline is essentially dead. There's nothing going on that we can honestly care about. No, this was a good learning episode, and I think we learned quite a bit about everybody, and a lot of little important tidbits that will be useful later on, or pertinent, I suppose, is the more correct term. Anyways, so this has been my technical critique. If you made it to the end of this, good on you. If you didn't like this video, feel free to dislike it, but leave a comment. Say why. Don't just be, oh, it's a guy in a mask talking. Click. try it. Try it. You might find it. If you did like this video, thank you very much. I know I'm very hard to listen to, but I do get excited sometimes. And leave a comment, say why you liked it, what I could do to improve, whatever. Share it out, and I will see you guys again for the next week for the next for the next episode. So yeah, if I had to rate this one, I'd say it was 10 out of 12. There were some parts that were a little bit slow, and lose their rewatchability. But other than that, this is a good episode, and it left me wanting more. So, yep, pretty good. 10 out of 12. I will see you guys next time. Bye.